Hi, friends. I'm Zach.
I'm Mitch.
And we are an excellent little podcast.
Presenting you a little movie podcast starring Zach and Mitch, but with a little bit of a twist.
Wait, are we not doing a podcast anymore?
No, we're doing a podcast.
Oh, okay.
We're just doing something a little differently. We're talking about something that isn't a movie?
You're right. I think this might be one of our alternate personalities, is a little show podcast, maybe.
Yeah, I think it is. So, as we are discussing this alternate personality called Little Show Podcast,
yeah,
does that mean we are different personalities of ourselves?
I mean, everyone's a different personality. Like, you're different from... Mitch at work is different from Mitch in your personal life.
Mm-hmm.
Zach at work is different from Zach in his personal life.
Well,
Zach at Buca de Beppo is an all-consuming monster.
So I asked that because if I do have a different personality, I would like to name him
Reggie.
Bill.
Oh, no. Okay. You can go with Bill. Okay.
Bill, you be Reggie.
No, Reggie would not be me.
No,
I mean, that's the point, but...
So if you all haven't figured it out, we are talking about Moon Knight.
Yeah, we're talking about Moon Knight.
We're going to talk about Moon Knight.
Only a week or two late, but it's fine.
Look, folks, there was a big movie called Doctor Strange that had to came out.
That's true. But it was good.
It was very good.
And
we are talking about Moon Knight.
Both.
Yes, absolutely. So, director of the Moon Knight series is Mohammed Daib, thank you. Screenplay is by Daniel Iman, thank you. And Jeremy Slater.
Yep. And then the character was originally created for... Gosh, I really cannot talk today. The original creator of the character,
Moon Knight,
when it was created for in Marvel Comics, was created by Doug, and now I'm going to screw up a last name.
I think it's
Moench, yeah, probably.
Yeah, nice little summary. As Stephen Grant discovers he's been granted the powers of an Egyptian moon god, but he soon finds out that these newfound powers can be both a blessing and a curse to his troubled life.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, nice little summary. Thank you, IMDb.
Yeah. I feel like we need to give IMDb a little bit more credit in our podcast.
I mean, it's IMDb does give the official synopsis, but yes, a lot of our information for all of our podcasts do come from IMDb. So here's your shout out, IMDb. Thank you. We love you.
We love you.
Please do not charge anything for your service because we love you. Yeah, it's a little bit different, but we are going to go ahead and keep our same formula, so don't worry. We're going to start out with our non-spoiler section, talking about our thoughts about specific cast members and some non-spoilerly things that we want to talk about.
Spoilerly.
Say
that 5 times fast.
That would be so much non-fun. That was a spoiler alert that it was not fun. Then we'll go ahead and get into our reviews of whether or not we ate it up, we think it needs to cook a little more, or if we think we should feed it to my dog Jazz.
And we also have another section called the spoiler section, and Zach will sound the alarm, the annoying alarm.
Oh, but we're doing the alarm now? I can do it right now.
Stop. Zach. Look at me.
Yeah.
Take a deep breath.
It's been a couple weeks.
Stop.
We can spoil it now.
No. Stop.
Okay.
Stop.
Okay.
Thank you. Because somebody may not have seen this. I do know people that have not seen the ending episode.
Okay.
So,
my mouth shut now.
Thank you. Now.
Back away from the mic now.
Yes. Now, I need the film critic personality of you, Zach, to come back. No?
He's not ready.
Okay. So, I'm going to go to my thoughts. Zach's giving me a nasty look.
No, you're do your thoughts. Do
my thoughts?
Do your thoughts.
Okay.
Not in that nasty way. Stop it.
Huh?
not in the nasty way. Just say,
you went there. So I just
other Zach went there.
No, other Zach went there.
Go.
But you didn't name other Zach.
I didn't name other Zach. It's fine.
What's his name?
All I know is that it's not Reggie.
It's not Reggie.
But we'll go ahead. Go ahead and say your thoughts. What is Mitch's thoughts on Moon Knight as a whole? Not specific episodes, but Moon Knight as a whole.
So Moon Knight, for me, I'm going to call it right now, the best Marvel show that's been released. I'm calling it now. No ifs, ands, or buts. I don't give a shit what anybody thinks. This is the best show that has came out, bar none, period, amen, bam. That's all I have to say. Very dark. The darkest MCU product we have ever gotten.
Even darker than Multiverse of Madness?
I would have to say darker because if you haven't seen it, there's a lot of nasty deaths in this in this series, and very cult things happen in this show.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Especially with a certain character that I'm going to save until we get into the cast.
Yeah.
And it just reminded me of a lot of old like 80s and 90s cults that I never thought Marvel/Disney would even want to go in that direction, especially for a more family-friendly streaming service such as Disney Plus.
Well, now we are getting into the darker stuff.
We are.
Disney does have parental controls now on Disney Plus.
Right.
So we have Marvel's Daredevil, which is
and Punisher.
Maybe MCU canon, maybe not. Yeah. Still unknown, but
and you also have Punisher on there too.
We have Punisher on there, so like Marvel is starting to dip their toe into the darker themes.
Yeah, I didn't think it was going to happen this quickly.
Sure.
Because Moon Knight was announced was it around Christmas of 2020? I think it was announced.
Yeah, during that big presentation.
Yeah. And I remember reading some stuff. Kevin Feige was really excited about it. They got Oscar Isaac, and I was like, okay, got Oscar Isaac. He's good. I will never forget the abomination against all humanity that he played Apocalypse in X-Men Apocalypse, but I forgive him. Oscar Isaac, to
me, he's one of the redeeming qualities of Star Wars.
Okay.
For the sequel trilogy. I thought he did a really good job.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. But then later on in the development, they cast Ethan Hawke.
Yeah.
And that immediately just said, okay, now I'm all in. Because Ethan Hawke doesn't do stuff like this, and I'll get more into him when we talk about the cast.
Yeah.
But immediately, once I heard Ethan Hawke, I'm like, oh, I'm drawn in. I was going to watch it anyway, but now I was going to be in it all the way.
Sure.
And I knew that this product was going to be at least exceptional. I didn't know how critically acclaimed it was going to be or how good it was going to be.
Sure.
But I knew it was going to be at least exceptional because Ethan Hawke doesn't do bad stuff.
Yeah.
I've never seen him do a bad product.
Yeah.
Or I'm sure he has. I just haven't seen it.
That's fair.
So going off of that, I had a lot more confidence in this show, and I watched every episode when it came out on Wednesdays, and I have to say it again. This is the best Marvel Cinematic show that has been released on Disney Plus. Do I want a second season? Absolutely. Do I want him to show up in films? Fucking right, I do. And there are my thoughts.
Yeah.
Zach, or whoever the hell you are right now, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, no, Moon Knight was quite the ride. I won't give it as high of praise of it being the best Marvel show, but it's very close to it. WandaVision for me still takes the number one spot for it because first off, it was our first foray into Phase 4, which was big, and it was Marvel's first TV show ever, and everyone had questions going into it, and it took its time to build its world and to answer those questions, and it played with the idea of the TV medium. Like, that was the entire concept of WandaVision. So I feel like that was Marvel's best, and I don't think they'll ever ever top WandaVision, but Moon Knight was definitely a close second in this. It did phenomenally. And like you said, having a wonderful cast behind it was really, really great. But I was really interested in Oscar Isaac's performance going into it, but I was pretty much just blown away by exactly like just how good Oscar Isaac did. So I think we should go ahead and transition into specifically Oscar Isaac, who did such a wonderful job as Stephen Grant. He was such a lovable character.
Oh, yes.
From the moment the first episode started. And Stephen Grant is such a wonderful, hopeful, like, naive character at the beginning of the show that you just absolutely adore and love him, and you want and you see the world through his eyes throughout the entire time. He did such a wonderful job and played off of his other actor really, 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 really well.
So I will go off of that, and every time I saw Stephen Grant on screen,
Played by Oscar Isaac.
Mm-hmm. I mean, who else would have played him? Because he did that well. I kind of saw glimpses of myself in Stephen Grant because he was that kind of guy that he was going to be. He's nice to everybody. He was clumsy. He did his job. He never really spoke ill of anybody.
Sure.
And he was just a truly, as you said, lovable, wonderful character that just came out of nowhere. Somebody's hungry, I think.
A little bit, maybe.
But he just had that lovable quality of an innocent English bystander.
Oh yeah, 100%.
And you can't deny him walking around London is just glorious. I have walked around London. I actually was in London for about a month in 2017, and every time he showed up and walked around London and took the tube and everything, that was just glorious. I'm like, I want to go back to
Would you say every time he waked up?
Stop. Stop. But yeah, Oscar Isaac, very,
very well done with Stephen Grant. Now on to the next actor, Oscar Isaac, who played Mark Spector.
Wait, hold on, time out. We just talked about Oscar Isaac playing Stephen Grant.
You're right,
but he played Mark Spector too.
He did.
How is that possible?
Because we have a very, very wonderful character who he has DID, which is dissociative identity disorder, which we'll get into a little bit later into our podcast of what that is, how well it was portrayed on screens by Oscar Isaac and by the creators. So we'll get into specifically the into DID a little bit later, but we'll talk about specifically Oscar Isaac's portrayal of Mark Spector.
So if I categorize this as such, his portrayal of Stephen Grant was an innocent little kitten or puppy. Oh, yeah. And you compare that to Mark Spector, and Mark Spector is just completely opposite. He's a rabid dog, almost. I
wouldn't say a rabid dog, but he's
close.
He's a little more stone cold.
Yes,
he's more realistic, more lived in, and
broken.
I don't want to step on any spoiler toes yet, but not like yet. He's had more time and seen more things happen, more terrible things happen in his life.
Yeah,
that Steven just hasn't had happen to him. So it's very two different viewpoints on life, and because of just how different their lives are. and he did one. Sorry, I interrupted you, Mitch, but yes, you can go ahead and continue on. On your mark.
No, you hit everything right on the head. He did it so differently. Mm-hmm. And I completely forgot to mention during our Stephen Grant section, everybody was saying how bad his English accent was, but I felt like that was on purpose.
Yeah.
Because it's another, and you kind of, well, I feel like if I go a little further, we're going to go into spoiler territory.
Well, I mean, it's with dissociative identity disorder, it is possible to have another identity because they are basically completely different beings. So having a different accent is true, but yeah, we can't really talk about just what happened. How what happened is exactly going to be for spoilers, which will then get into maybe why the accent was here or there. I personally loved the accent. I thought he actually did a really nice. It wasn't standard, but it was.
It made sense.
It was still a very nice British area accent. So
not Scottish.
It wasn't your typical standard British, but it was a lived in British, which I enjoyed. But back to Mark, just he's such a wonderful counter to Steven just because of those experiences. And I thought he, like how they allow the two to talk through reflections is also genius.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
That way you can have the two characters exist simultaneously and have a conversation. It's not just one person just kind of talking to themselves kind of a thing.
Yeah,
that you can actually see what's kind of going on through the two minds at once.
I feel like if you would have had them talking to themselves, it wouldn't have been near as special.
Yeah, I think it would have played off as campy.
For sure.
If he was going back and forth. So and we do eventually get a little bit of the outside looking in kind of a thing, but in order for you to truly understand the two characters, it's great that they allowed the two characters to genuinely see each other and interact with each other.
Oh, for sure.
And for us to see that interaction. Mm-hmm. So it was really, really well done.
All right. So enough about Oscar Isaac, because I feel like if we talk a little bit more, we're
bordering.
We're bordering spoiler territory.
Yeah.
Let's talk about. Okay, I mentioned him in my thoughts.
Yeah.
I feel like did we talk about Ethan Hawke a while back? A couple of weeks ago?
We talked about him a couple of weeks ago.
What did we talk about?
We were in like the middle of Moon Knight. Actually.
Yeah, we actually were. Like it was almost near the finale, I think, wasn't it?
No, I think it was like episode 3 or 4.
I think it was 4. Well, this is only a 6-episode series, I'm pretty sure.
But it was he was in The Northman.
He was in The Northman, wasn't he? Which, I mean, completely different performance
and a lot more involved but yeah, and very, very different performance. And I will go out and say it right now, it's definitely one of Marvel's best characters ever put to date.
You're talking villains or just characters in general?
Both actually. I will go out there for both.
Really?
Oh yes.
Do tell.
I feel that Arthur Harrow is so terrifying because of just how realistic he is. He basically, Ethan Hawke is playing a cult leader, and a very, very charismatic cult leader at that. And the best villains are the ones that you can understand their thinking behind. It's and you should disagree with them. You should, but you understand where they're coming from. The idea that he believes that it's better to prevent a calamity or anything terrible from happening before it happens is great, because that means that terrible thing will not happen, as opposed to Moon Knight and his form of justice, which is punishing those that deserve it, but that means that the crime has already been committed. So it's more revenge and getting back than actually preventing what has happened.
That's what I got from it.
It's a very genuine, it's a really cool idea, and Ethan Hawke just plays it very, very well, and he is very, I don't say convincing, but when the episode that happened when they're meeting for the first time truly meeting face to face, the conversations that they have and whatnot about exactly the morality of the two characters, perfect.
So I think the reason why I found his portrayal so interesting and completely different was he did a lot of research on cult leaders, such as I can't think of his name off the top of my head. The one that did the Kool-Aid. The Kool-Aid. Yep. I think Jim Jones, I think his name was.
I try not to think about cult leaders, but it could be possible.
For some reason, my mom is obsessed with them. So, Mom, if you're listening to this,
thank you for not drinking his Kool-Aid and for having Mitch.
Yeah. I'll make sure she hears this. So
happy Mother's Day.
Yeah, we're a little late. So yeah, Jim Jones, I know he listened or did research on him, but one cult leader in particular was David Koresh.
Okay.
And I actually watched a small little documentary on him, and there was a show on the Paramount Network about the Branch Davidians, and there was a big standoff in Waco, Texas. And everything that David Koresh stood for and did came out here in Ethan Hawke's portrayal of Arthur Harrow. Everything. Enclosed civilization.
Yep.
Everybody works. Everybody seems happy.
Yeah.
Everybody thinks they are.
Yep.
But at the same time, when they were around this Arthur Harrow, Ethan Hawke, they were scared to not be happy, because I feel like if he saw something like you said, I feel like he would have killed them in an instant.
Well,
because he just had that. Well, sorry to interrupt you.
No, you're fine.
He had that at any moment this man would snap.
That's fair.
To me, at least.
To me, I kind of got the different vibe.
Okay.
Because how Harrow picks his followers is through him judging them. And through the judgment, it is decided whether or not they are a good person or a bad person. And at no point, like a little spoiler here, at no point does Harrow kill any of his followers.
Correct.
He and I think the reason why is because he, according to his process, knows that they could not do wrong against their cause. So to them, to the followers, they are justified to know that they are a good person.
Okay.
According to all the things that Harrow is doing and all the magic that they're seeing. So they're like, okay, I'm a good person, so no matter what I do, I'm doing it I'm still a good person, kind of a thing. And then Harrow knows that they won't go away from him from that. He actually has like a really good trust with.
They won't turn on him.
Correct. However, saying that the dude's not unhinged, different story.
Right.
He is very, very, very unhinged, but in very subtle ways, which is genuinely thanks to Ethan Hawke's portrayal. He does it very subtly, and it's because of that subtlety that the character genuinely works.
Well, and that's why I say I would have to agree with you in terms of villains and Marvel characters. It's because this is territory where he has never done and he never wanted to.
Yeah.
He's criticized Marvel a couple times.
He has.
And I felt like as soon as they got him, they knew that they had something really, truly special in this show. And we're going to name this guy. We're going to bring this guy up again. We talked about him a lot in Doctor Strange.
Yep.
Ethan Hawke has said many times, yes, he wanted to work with Oscar Isaac.
Yep.
And the director, he said, was great. But his first meeting with Kevin Feige, that's what sealed the deal for him.
Yep.
Because Kevin Feige has this knack for good storytelling and good characters. And Ethan Hawke, even though, yes, he has criticized Marvel in the past, he is a sucker for good storytelling, great stories, and great characters. He's worked with Robin Williams. He's worked with so many brilliant actors, and I can't really say much more because it's everything I wanted out of an Ethan Hawke performance.
I feel like any time that an actor or a director badmouths a Marvel property, Kevin Feige is like, you know what? I'm gonna make something so good that you're gonna want to be in it. I'm gonna cast you in it. Like, I feel like every single time that he hears like an actor say like, "Oh, boo hoo" on this Marvel thing, he's like, "Here, see this script. You're gonna play them," and then they're like, "Oh yeah, this is great. Yeah, no, let's do this."
So
I actively think that that's what Kevin Feige's thing is.
So
is to target people like that.
You say that, but what about Martin Scorsese?
Oh, I guarantee you Kevin Feige's working on a script to be like, I'll show Martin Scorsese this is gonna be art.
Or Francis Ford Coppola.
Francis Ford Coppola will never work on any superhero movie. I can tell you that right now, especially since I guarantee you after his next movie,
his last one, his last one.
Correct. It's according to him, this next movie that he's going to come out with, which is something Topia. I can't remember off the top of my head.
It comes out this year, doesn't it?
No, next year.
Next year.
It hasn't even shot yet.
Oh, dang it. That'll be on our top 10, I feel, next year.
That movie he is touting as his magnum opus. And Apocalypse Now and The Godfather are huge movies. So to tout this as your magnum opus, whoo. Baby.
But my quick thing, I think it would be hilarious because Al Pacino's been in the running for Mephisto for the longest time.
I don't know if they're gonna do Mephisto, but he would be a good Mephisto.
Because Al Pacino wants to be in a Marvel film after he saw Guardians of the Galaxy. If they got Al Pacino, because him and Martin Scorsese are close.
They are.
If he is in. Yeah, I'm sure Ali Pacino will be like, "Come on, Marty, let's do this."
He'll whisper sweet nothings into Martin Scorsese's
ear. He'd be like, "Come on, Marty, you know their art. You know their art. We'll make it art."
Well, and that's the thing. It's, we have a whole bunch of things going on with comic book movies as a whole right now. Especially, I feel Joker was a very good push forward for comic book movies being able to be artistic. I won't say in terms of like how Martin Scorsese classifies movies as movies. Marvel hasn't put anything artistically inclined out.
I will agree. Black Panther was close.
But like in terms of like what Martin Scorsese holds as art, Marvel hasn't gone up to that yet. I think they also tried that with Eternals. I think they tried to get that, which I enjoyed Eternals. I know a lot of people didn't, but I still feel like Marvel still has yet to break that Joker glass ceiling that they haven't hit it just yet.
Yeah.
I think it's in them. I think they can make it. And I'm not saying that Marvel films aren't art, because they are, and they are phenomenal. But
it shows that they know what they're doing.
And it shows like these, like WandaVision and Moon Knight, that shows that they're getting close.
I mean, Ethan Hawke again wouldn't have done this show if he knew it wasn't.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So, all right. So we got the next. Zach, will you take this one, please?
Yeah, absolutely. So we now have our heroine, who is played by May
Calamaway?
Calamaway? Yeah,
I think so. We apologize for butchering all your names.
All of our last names. I'm sorry.
We are just simple. We're pure simpletons.
We are ants.
What?
Hercules, man. Oh no, we are worms. That's what I don't know why I came up with ants.
What?
When Panic and
we are worms.
Yeah.
Okay, so I have to ask, who would be Pain and who would be Panic?
Danny DeVito and Danny DeVito.
I'm not talking
Danny
about...
DeVito plays every single role in that movie.
Out of us.
I
feel like I would be...
You would be Panic, I would be Pain.
Why? Okay.
You're long and spangly, and I have a 3-month-old baby.
Okay,
so.
But I don't panic.
I mean, you can panic at the disco, but we'll get on with it. But don't worry. So May plays Layla Al Fooley, who is a total badass in this show. At the beginning, I was worried that they were gonna do it as that it was gonna be yet another love interest and solely that. But no, flat out they squashed that at the beginning. And she surprises me around every single turn. Going into Moon Knight, I didn't realize how much of a scene stealer Oscar Isaac was gonna be. Mm-hmm. But somehow every single time that she is on screen with Oscar Isaac, she's going toe to toe with him and able to kind of steal some moments away from Oscar Isaac too, and as well in her own moments as well do phenomenally and stand well on her own. She did perfectly with Layla. I literally cannot tout more praises without going into spoilers. So
I was just
go
about
ahead
to
and
say,
take over.
Mine's going to be short, sweet, and to the point because I also feel like if we talk about it a lot, we are going to go into spoiler territory. But everything that you said, I agree with 100%. I feel like every time she was on screen with Oscar Isaac, even though Oscar Isaac was brilliant in this, she stole it from him, hands down. Beautiful performance from her as well.
I really look forward to where her character... I'm excited to see where Moon Knight goes in the MCU, but I'm really excited to see where Layla goes.
All right, one more quick one.
Yep.
Then we'll talk about a few things.
We have the token oldie but goodie.
He's been around for a while.
The token a historical actor that is always in one Marvel movie. You have your the one, whether it's Bradley Cooper or Vin Diesel, the one that you want to market off of, look who's actually in this movie. It's F. Murray Abraham playing a very interesting addition to the MCU in the Egyptian god Khonshu.
He mostly just portrays the voice. I don't think he did the motion capture at all.
No, he did not. But...
You just said it. Your big deep breath was that was me the entire time, because when I was listening to his voice, I couldn't help but keep looking at Khonshu.
It's terrifying.
It is. It's scary. I gotta compare it to James Earl Jones' Darth Vader voice.
Oh yeah,
we're so excited for Obi-Wan Kenobi. We're gonna talk about it.
It's almost here.
About 2 weeks.
2 weeks. It's so close.
Our Lord and Savior Obi-Wan Kenobi is coming to save us.
He's risen from the dead, man. He's risen from the dead. It only took him so freaking long. It didn't take 3 days. It took a lot longer, but he's back. He's back.
Zach, Easter was long gone a month and a half ago.
Many Easters have passed. But he finally did rise.
But
hallelujah.
So I gotta say Darth Vader's voice, because if you were a kid back in the 70s and you heard Darth Vader's voice, you were scared. I feel like if kids listen to this Khonshu's voice, they are scared as well.
Yeah, good.
And that's what they wanted.
Good comparison, dude. Yeah, no, yeah, it's like Marvel, please make sure that you were just write out every little bit of Khonshu dialogue that you will ever use, and get F. Murray Abraham to like say it now, so that he doesn't pass away before this happens. Because holy crap,
he's not that old, I don't think. Is he?
He's like in his like
70s?
early 80s. Like he's getting up. Let's see. I'm really actually kind of curious at how old he is
but
now.
still, I mean, people have been living to
100, but
yeah.
Who knows?
I mean, my great grandmother, she lived to be 98, yeah.
Let's see, where is he?
So 98, that's pretty good. But okay, 1939, yes, he is
in his 80s.
83. 83, come on.
I told you, early 80s.
But 83, he's got plenty of years left in him.
Dude, I don't know. There's a lot of people that have been dying lately. There's a lot of famous people that have been dying lately in their like 70s. So he's doing good. Please stay healthy, sir.
Yes. Oh, he won an Oscar. I didn't know that.
Yeah, he did. Mm-hmm.
Well, I'll be. But
again, this is your Tolkien. Like, holy shit, they got him to do this. Yeah, and again, holy shit, they got him to do this.
I know.
Because, geez, I never pegged him for an MCU guy, but
no.
Khonshu is a great character.
Oh yeah.
Really, genuinely, you do not know what Khonshu's goals are, and even coming out of it, even coming out of this series, you're still a little questionable exactly what where Khonshu's beliefs actually lie. Mm-hmm. And I think that's probably what sold him on this character.
All right, we got the cast done.
Yep.
What else is on our next bullet point? Is it locations?
Oh yeah, locations.
Just like real estate. Location.
Location. So
location.
So I want to... I really genuinely have to give my hats off to specifically the director on this one. Now, he did not go out specifically to find the locations, I'm sure, but I'm sure he had a couple in mind, which is Mohammed Daib.
Yeah.
He said his mission with this series was to show not the stereotypical form of Egypt, but modern day Egypt.
Yeah.
Like how Egypt actually is currently.
Yeah, because we all know about the pyramids. Mm-hmm. We all know about the pyramids.
We all know about the pyramids. We all know about the Sahara. We all know about everything about that.
Yeah.
He wanted to show what is Egyptian culture right now. Mm-hmm. Like, and how beautiful it is, and how diverse it is, and I think he knocked it out of the park.
Oh, for sure.
And he did a really good job of actually bringing in a lot of that culture and showing it, and you could tell just how it was shot. He's like, I want a shot of this area of Cairo. I want a shot of this area of where we're at. Mm-hmm. I want it to be from this angle. Like you can tell that this was a labor of love for him, specifically to get these locales and these places shot as he and all those people that live there see it, and not just as we have stereotypically seen them. So I applaud the locations and the director for that vision of bringing that to us and seeing a different side of Egypt that we really haven't seen before.
Right, because I say this before, we know about the pyramids. We know about the Sahara Desert. We've seen it in gobs of movies. We've seen it in the history books. We were taught about it or at least I was, a couple times in elementary school, like how the mummies were. But
that was ancient Egypt.
That was ancient Egypt. So to see Egypt have like a few points in the city where they're like lights and like big skyscrapers. We haven't seen that in a current film or TV anything. Not in a long time.
No,
because it's always been like, oh, pyramids. Oh, ancient
to be honest,
things.
to be honest, and this is a knack on Western culture, they kind of treat it as like savages, almost.
Mm-hmm. That's bad.
Which is terrible.
Mm-hmm. It's a beautiful place.
It's gorgeous.
Yeah. Well, so I think there was a few times in the show where it was really late and they were driving Mark and his lady friend Layla. They were driving around and there was like music going on. I'm like, man, that place is bobbing. But again, it also made me want to go there.
Yeah.
As a tourist.
Yeah.
Which I never thought I'd want to do.
Oh, I've always wanted to go to Egypt.
Really?
I've always wanted to go to Egypt.
I mean, everybody wants to go for the pyramids, but okay, but when you're done visiting the pyramids, what do you want to do?
The nightlife.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I didn't know about the nightlife until I saw this show. So, bravo to you, Moon Knight director and cinematographer and scout finder thingy, and just bravo, you made me want to visit. Zach, when are we going?
After D23.
After D23? Well, we're not going this year, though.
We're not going this year, but we will. So after at some point, I do want to go to Egypt. Paris and Egypt are my two biggest places I've wanted.
We also need to take you to London too.
Yeah, we do.
We also need to go to New York.
I've been to New York.
I have not. I have, but I want to see Broadway shows.
Oh, Broadway's great.
I also want to go to Florida.
You know what, Mitch? I think your alternate personality is starting to come out.
Oh.
So we're going to go ahead and actually move into specifically dissociate identity disorder, what that is, how it was portrayed, and why it's important that it's now brought into the cultural zeitgeist.
So I will let you have this section because I know absolutely nothing about it.
Sure.
The show did provide some helpful insight.
Yeah.
But the floor is yours, Zach.
Yeah, absolutely. So, dissociative identity disorder, or DID for short, is a kind of disorder where multiple personalities can be split from the likes of trauma. It's usually through trauma. There's multiple ways that it can be, but in most situations it has been associated with trauma that the multiple personalities come out of. Now, these identities can live completely separate lives. They are they can be completely separate people. It really depends on what state, because kind of like some other things, you have some friends that are who have a dissociative identity disorder that it's very low level, and it might be just one, and maybe they don't show up too often. And then you have maybe another who's on the other side of the spectrum who might have several, or might have, like I said, completely separate lives and barely be able to identify that there is more than one personality going on with them.
Could it also have something to do with maybe the host body too? The host of the body?
It can. Again, there's multiple things can trigger dissociative identity disorder. It can be genetic. It can be there's a lot of things that can amalgamate, but we're going to talk specifically it being brought on by trauma with this one, because that's how Moon Knight specifically has its way of talking about it. So we'll talk a little bit more specifically of it in the spoiler section.
Yeah.
But what I will say about it, non-spoiler wise, was I did not know very much about DID. I'd heard about it. But I thought how they treated it and how they didn't othercise it and make it seem scary, make it seem terrible, or make it seem like a kind of like othering of people who do have this disorder. It was a very welcoming interpretation. Oscar Isaac was very well. He seemed very educated on it in his portrayal of it, and he, I feel like he did his homework and did his best to try to represent these people. And I actually would be interested to see if there are any actors or actresses that do have DID, and
especially like maybe a method actor too.
Well, not even a method actor, just any actor that does happen to have DID, and see. I would love to see their portrayals of certain roles too, which I would think would be really, really wonderful. And I think by putting DID into the cultural zeitgeist and being able to make light of what it is and exactly like start to show how it works, and maybe we can actually try to help some friends if they need help or want help for it, or allow them to be understood so that we as a culture do not othercise them and outcast them, and allow them to live as normal as lives as possible.
Well, it also shows that there are stories out there that can be portrayed.
Oh yeah, for
films and TV shows like Moon Knight, and it can open the door to wonderful, wonderful performances for actors that have this disorder.
Yep.
And also think of maybe somebody that wants to direct as well that has this disorder. Think of the beautiful films, stories, plays, anything. It just proves right here that they can have great stories that not just can be told, that want to be told.
Yep.
They need these stories to be told.
And that's such a lot of people talk about how going into not having new IP can destroy a property. Can destroy a franchise or destroy a company in their terms of their originality. I always feel like there are multiple ways to start getting into new IP, and it is through newer franchises and through older franchises as well. And I feel like the MCU actually is almost a beautiful way of showing that, because it continually tries to reinvent itself with each movie, with it being in a different genre. It tries different things in each way. So and it brings up really, really wonderful topics, and the themes coming out of Phase 4. A lot of people have not been a fan of Phase 4 as a whole, but the themes that are being talked about and that are coming out of Phase 4 have been the most I've really heard around like water cooler talks and whatnot. Is, the idea of like Wanda going through grief, the idea of DID, the idea of trauma, the idea of all these things that normally is not water cooler talk, but is now starting to be talked about by a lot of people and starting to get normalized, which I really, really love.
They are talking about things that have not been talked about, but need to be talked about.
Correct.
In my opinion.
And then that lays the groundwork to even more new stories, know, like how you said, like we haven't had a lot of DID stories. We could go into that more as and maybe look at like maybe how the research for DID started happening.
I've also been noticing not just Marvel, but also with a little bit with the Batman. You had Falcon and Winter Soldier and the Batman both they touched up on it a lot with Falcon and Winter Soldier, and they touched up on it very briefly with the Batman.
Yeah.
They both touched up on police brutality a little bit, which is a big theme that's going on over the past couple years.
Yep.
Previous Marvel phases, they wouldn't touch that.
Nope. They actually glorified a lot of police officers.
They did,
in
yes.
a lot of the early MCU.
And ever since Phase 4 hit, Kevin Feige has literally said, I don't care what the topic is. I don't care what it is. If it's something that is being talked about right now and that needs to be talked about, it's going to go in these products.
And I feel like it started actually way back when with Captain Marvel, if I'm honest.
I agree. Feminism.
Which, with the Me Too movement and everything, I feel like Captain Marvel was their answer, and a lot of people did not like it, and were like, "What is politics doing in Marvel?"
Well, and that's the thing that's
the
Go ahead.
thing is that Marvel has always been political. From the moment the comics, like Stan Lee has always been political in his comics. Black Panther was political. The X-Men were political.
Spider-Man was political.
All of it was political. Art that a lot of people enjoy. 90% of the time is a political statement.
Absolutely.
You just don't recognize it because you go, "Oh, that's really cool looking. Oh, I really like that." You don't. That's the surface level. If you start digging down deeper into why some things are, or why some characters are like how they are, it's for political reasons. And speaking out and doing political things is not inherently bad.
No.
It's when you start hurting people where it does. And I'm sorry, art doesn't hurt people.
No.
Art starts conversations.
Right.
So stop acting like art is hurting you and your ideas. No, it's challenging them, and that's the point.
And I will, before we go to the script, because we've obviously finished with dissociate identity disorder. Forgive me if I mispronounced the first word. I will agree with you 110%. And for those of you that are upset with Marvel's Phase 4 movement, fuck off. We really don't care, because these stories need to be told. They want to be told. If you think it's too political, then don't fucking watch. Don't listen. Don't do it. And
our fandom is better for it that you leave.
Yes, and if you are not okay with this episode, then leave.
Yeah, no, we don't need that BS here.
No, this podcast is for everybody.
Yep. Everybody except you.
Everybody except you.
Yep.
Because you don't stand for what we stand for.
Yep.
You stand for hate. We stand for
the love of movies, and that's what we are here for. All right. So, speaking of movies, every movie has a script.
But this isn't a movie.
But this is a show.
This is a show.
And shows have scripts too. So, what did you think, Mitch, of the overall story and script of this show?
It was so complex and linear, but I loved every second of it. It made so much sense, and it was almost like the characters made the script.
Sure.
Which is so weird to say, because that hasn't really happened in a Marvel property since the first Iron Man, in my opinion at least, where the characters, even though obviously the actors didn't really write the script word for word, I feel like a lot of this movie was, what's the word I'm looking for? Not ad-libbed. Improved. I feel, not everything.
Yeah. But
there were a lot of cases in this series where they just let the actors work.
I feel it's possible. I don't.
To me, at least.
I don't think there was a lot of improv on that set, but I feel like the actors did get a lot of creative.
I think that's
workaround.
That's probably why I felt it was improv, because I just felt like.
And that also comes down to great casting, too.
Yes.
If an actor and actress know their character, then they have the tools to succeed. And if the director behind the camera knows how to coax out even better performances, that only makes the movie or show even better. And it all starts at the bottom line with the script. And I would be lying if I said I was bored with the show, because I wasn't. I was at the edge of my seat every single episode, all 6. Even if I knew where it was probably going to end by the end of, as 6 was going, I probably saw where it was going to end. Still loved it, every single bit. And they did a phenomenal job.
Oh, absolutely. So, got the script done.
Yep.
We got one more thing.
One more.
We got
score. Which it was...
the score was 10-1.
What?
Score was 10-1.
Well, no, you're thinking of. Well, to be honest, I don't know what score you're thinking of.
Baseball.
Oh, you snuck that in there. You knew. Oh, you jerk.
What? What did I do?
No, you're fine. But no, but the actual score of this show, the music, the composition wise was done by Hashem Nazi, which he did a really wonderful composition.
Music that we have never heard. And then he brought in music that we have heard, just was a couple decades back. Yeah.
The use of music in this, it ain't a musical, definitely not, but it strongly and heavily relied on themes, and you felt each one. They did a really wonderful job with the changing personalities music. Oh, yeah. They did a really good job of the going back to normal music, quote unquote, the every time I wake up, like that was always such a really wonderful theme to come back to.
Why? Yeah, it's gonna be stuck in my head all night now. Thanks, Zach.
And the actual, like, I feel like this was another thing, like it had a lot of music that I feel like was inspired by the Middle East, and not stereotypical Middle Eastern music, like actual, like, Middle Eastern composition because it just sounds specifically from tried and true, specifically from Egypt, and it makes it seem a lot more real. So it's again another love letter to modern Egypt, and I love it.
Oh yeah, so well, we got that done.
Yep. All right. So now our non-spoiler section is done. So now we'll move on to our review. Yay! So Mitch, again, not episode by episode, but as a whole, what did you think of Moon Knight? Did you A, eat it up? B, think it needed to cook a little more? Or
before you go any further, I don't even need those last two options because I ate this up.
Oh, okay. Absolutely.
Now, Zach, did you feed it to the dog? Did you want it to cook? Or did you eat it up? What
did I do?
What did you do? How did you do it? Did other multiple personalities get involved?
Now that just sounds dirty. But
well, thank you.
But I ate it up.
You ate it up?
It was, and I feel like we pretty much weren't hiding it the entire episode. No. It was really high quality Marvel.
I just have to say, out of all the Marvel Disney Plus shows, there is yet to be a feed to the dog. There's yet to be a need to cook.
Yeah, well,
to me,
I think Hawkeye might have needed to cook a little bit.
Okay, I actually completely forgot about Hawkeye.
Yeah, see, not a lot of people remember it
because it came out during No Way Home.
That's fair.
But it had Kingpin.
It had Kingpin.
Which was cool.
Which was kind of cool.
But it had Haley Steinfeld.
But that's the thing. Haley Steinfeld, I really, really did like her character. I think that was one of the saving graces of the Hawkeye show.
Not Jeremy Renner.
Jeremy Renner was also too.
Florence Pugh was good in it too.
Yeah, she was. It's again. I think it's an issue with story, not of character.
Yeah, but yeah. Nothing much else to say about this show. We ate it up.
It was great.
Sorry, Jazz, we're not feeding this to you.
No, you're gonna get some dinner later. I promise.
He is out he is out too.
But yeah, so can I do it? Can I do it? Can I do it?
Hold on.
Can I do it?
Hold your horses.
Can I do it? Can I do it?
Okay, do it.
Can I do it? Yay! Wah wah wah! Spoiler alert! Spoiler alert!
It's time, friends.
It's
time if you have not seen the ending episode or any of the episodes and you don't want to be spoiled, turn this podcast off now. If you don't give a damn or you've seen it, please, please, please keep listening to us. We're hoping that we haven't strayed you on the bad path or whatever the hell we're talking about. So
I don't know what you're talking about.
I don't know what I'm talking about either.
I think you were letting yourself get away with you there. But
my Bill personality got involved. Sorry,
but don't worry.
But Bill's gone.
But don't worry. I feel, to be honest, again, now that we are in spoiler territory, if we spoil much, I don't think it's going to affect the MCU too much.
No.
But it's still really, I feel like they kept it a little distant from the MCU just in case it was a little too dark and audience.
It's still in the MCU.
It is still in the MCU proper. There's even some very subtle hints to King the Conqueror in there, which is it shows it's there.
Or He Who Remains.
It's there. It is there. But I think they kept it separate because they didn't know if they were going to go on for more than one season. Because, again, this was submitted as a limited series.
But this show ends on a massive cliffhanger.
So I feel like they are going to do more with this character. Mm-hmm. Maybe not specifically another Moon Knight series.
Maybe he'll appear in a movie.
He might appear in a movie, or he might get another series. Possibly like the West Coast Avengers or something.
Yeah, I could see it.
But in terms of Moon Knight proper series,
we don't know.
We are probably not. Unless it's years down.
So our first major spoiler was the first twist in the Asylum. Mm-hmm. And I'm going to start with that because that Asylum twist just... So basically this Asylum... It's not really an asylum. It's the afterlife.
Well, yeah.
Kind of purgatory almost.
Yeah, but the first twist of it being, oh, wait, he was in an asylum.
Yeah, we all thought that.
Time.
Yeah.
A lot of people thought that, which I was like...
Cool.
Yes, it's going to be, like, I love it. I love that idea. I love it. But I also don't buy it either.
I didn't buy it either.
I was like, I wasn't buying that Stephen Grant and Mark Spector were being truly truthful as narrators. Yeah. So I had a feeling that something was awry. Mm-hmm. But then when we got to the asylum and it was making it, I was going,
what happened?
Well, and then there was a bunch of woes.
Well, then you saw Ethan Hawke as this weird Steve Jobs like doctor.
Well, and that was the thing that brought me out of it. Like the second that I saw Ethan Hawke as the therapist, I was like, oh, something else is going on. But that's the thing. I was like, at the same time too, I don't know if something else is going on. And I do, but I don't. But it's weird.
He literally looked like a therapist Steve Jobs.
No, he looks like Nick Flanders.
Not Nick Flanders.
Like Ned Flanders.
Ned Flanders.
From the
oh.
He literally looks straight up from the...
I never thought of that.
Looks like Ned Flanders.
Do you have a mustache?
Yeah, he did.
He did, didn't he?
He's Ned Flanders. How did Italy?
Where was Homer? Where was Homer? We needed Homer.
I mean, I was Homer during that first episode because I was like, oh God,
don't.
But
yeah, that twist.
It was a very, very good twist.
Mm-hmm.
It was a little bit of an unexpected twist for me, but at the same time, I also didn't buy it. But by the end of the series, I also don't know exactly like what actually happened, what didn't. I don't know. So like, this is great. I'm freaking loving this.
Yes, but next it is, what is that?
Taweret, who was played by Antonia Saib.
Oh, you're talking about the hippopotamus.
The hippopotamus. How? There goes your arm. God damn it, I love Oscar Isaac so much. But yeah, so the way that we find out that it is the afterlife is through Taweret, who is I forget what the goddess who she's the goddess of. She's not the goddess of the afterlife,
no.
But she's great.
Yeah,
that was a great reveal because
she's like hi.
Because you know, after that big reveal of the asylum and whatnot, you know, we're going through and we're trying to like figure out like what's going on, what's almost like what's going on, and then all of a sudden a hippopotamus pops out of nowhere. Like we're like, we're really going into the weird.
Where you see Oscar Isaac and Oscar Isaac.
Yeah, just screaming.
Yes.
And also, again, really wonderful choice by Oscar Isaac. Two totally different screams for that. I love that.
You see them both appearing at the same time, side by side. Yeah. That was, okay, all thoughts aside, that was beautiful that they did that.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
Phenomenal. That even though it may seem easy, that is extremely hard to do because you're playing off of nothing, off of air.
Well, and evidently they got Oscar Isaac's brother to actually be the body double for him, so he wasn't directly playing off of air, but at the same time, you know, someone else's performance isn't somebody else's performance.
Correct.
So it's not like Oscar Isaac was looking at Oscar Isaac while he was playing Oscar Isaac.
Wow, that was really confusing.
Yes, but he at least did have like someone there to act across with, and still have that like almost like familial connection, which is really, really nice. But with that like whole, it was like having Taweret there, and again, she actually is one of the bridges to the MCU as a whole, because she says, you know, we're gods, but there's multiple gods, which and we're about to get another god. And we're probably about to see a whole lot of gods die in our next MCU property, which please give it to us.
You're talking about the God Butcher.
I am talking about Gore the God Butcher.
Christian Bale.
And I'm just going to say, if Russell Crowe, who's playing Zeus in the next one, does not get his ass handed to him and his head cut off by Gore the God Butcher, I'm going to step out of that theater, damn it. Because I want to see Russell Crowe get decapitated, man, from fucking Christian Bale.
I want to see. I just want to see it. That's all I want to do. I want to see it.
Thor: Love and Thunder.
I just want to see Thor: Love and Thunder because somebody told me today that the
world was going to roll you and that you aren't the sharpest tool in the shed.
Quiet. They said the trailer was terrible, and they hated the look of Natalie.
You haven't seen the trailer?
I haven't seen the trailer. I saw it in Doctor Strange.
That's what I was thinking.
No, somebody. I talked to somebody today, and they thought that the trailer looked bad, and they thought Natalie Portman looked terrible.
What?
I know.
I think that person is in a very small minority because she is jacked.
I know, she's huge.
To absolutely wreck people up.
Okay, so enough of Thor: Love and Thunder.
Thor and Gore. But she also makes a very important distinction as well. Is not only is there multiple gods, there's multiple afterlives.
Yeah.
And directly references Black Panther and the ancestral plane.
Yep.
So I think that's a really huge amount of world building the MCU was able to do, and opens up a whole lot more possibilities, especially when we get to Thor and Love and Thunder, when we're probably going to be introduced to a lot more gods. But it also gives credence to the Eternals as well. It builds on the world and does a really wonderful job of it. And then we get into as well her avatar.
Yeah.
Which is great. Layla gets to kick ass as the Scarlet Scarab.
Or the first Egyptian superhero.
Well, and here's the thing. So, this is a character in Moon Knight lore. However, originally the character was male,
right,
and was originally a villain,
right.
So, I really hope, Layla, you don't become a villain.
Please,
not gonna
don't.
lie.
But you were a badass.
Especially since you are the first Egyptian superhero. Please don't let the first Egyptian superhero be evil.
Please don't.
But But holy shit! Like
I know,
like they did that well. Like
oh yeah,
like everything with Tower and with the Scarlet Scarab, like just like if you want to talk about like how like just how like Scarlet Scarab was actually going across and like absolutely being fools up, having her different multiple powers of like her wings and the swords and her healing factor and like just everything was there, and they came with a force, and I freaking loved it.
Yeah,
it was perfect.
All right,
what did you think about Tower? It's the the broader implications of the MCU and Scarlet Scarab. I know there was a lot to go over in that.
So I'm not going to talk about the broader MCU stuff.
Sure.
You touched up on everything.
Sure.
Gonna mention her real quickly, but I want to talk about something else, and I'll get to that.
Sure.
She was great. Perfect representation of an Egyptian superhero. Finally.
Yep.
It's been a long time coming. The thing I want to talk about is the trauma that Mark and Steven dealt with.
Yeah.
While they were going on their little spiritual journey.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
So they're walking, they're on that boat. Or it's before the boat. I think it's before the boat.
I don't know where specifically you're talking about right
when
now. Because there's multiple times on the boat, there's multiple times in the asylum. What specific moment are you trying to talk about?
When they go through Mark's past.
Okay, again, we go through Mark's past a lot.
I just can't remember
moment are you talking about?
The whole like.
You just mean the
timeline
entire journey?
Yeah, timeline of events.
Okay, gotcha.
So I'm not gonna talk about it in full detail.
Sure. But
one moment that really just sticks with me, and it will stick with me till the day I die, is when So Mark's brother drowns.
Yes.
Mark blames himself because his mom blames him because he wasn't keep an eye on him or something.
Well, he didn't try. Yeah, he didn't try to save. According to his mom, the reason if they didn't go to play in the cave, then he would still be alive. So it's Mark's fault for not,
which is not
having,
which is not good to put on a kid.
Oh, absolutely,
that's terrible. Shame on her. She refuses to go to him during his birthdays.
Yeah.
And it makes Mark a very emotional wreck. And the moment that really keeps sticking with me was, I can't remember, I think it was one of his birthdays. She's upset with him because, you celebrate another birthday.
Yep.
Your younger brother can't celebrate anymore because he died because of you.
Yep.
He runs upstairs. He's crying. His room's a mess. His mom's banging on the door. And immediately, as soon as she's about to go, and Steven's watching this whole thing.
Yep.
And immediately, because Mark didn't want him to see it.
No.
Mark switches personalities as a kid.
For the first time. And it's Steven with his English accent.
Yep. And his mom comes in to beat him with the belt.
Yeah.
And that just really, it can also open up the doorway to a lot of other stories too, such as mental and physical abuse, which, again, we need to see more of that.
Oh yeah, 100%.
I know a lot of people say, there's no room for that. There's always room for situations like that.
And a lot of people were going into that episode was who was first, quote unquote. Was it Mark or was it Steven? And by birth, Mark is older, technically.
But it kind of...
Steven is still a person, a personality, has his own ideas, beliefs, and everything. He is... And that's one thing that I do want to actually mention, too. When they initially showed the two of them, they are two separate hearts. They are two different people. They are basically two different souls.
Which is great.
And I love that because it allows... It just goes to show like how individual that these two people can be. But at the same time, by the end, unfortunately, Mark is thrown over, and Steven is thrown over, and he freezes in the sand, and we only have one heart left. There's the very beautiful moment that Mark goes back to get Steven, and since they only have one heart left, he's willing to sacrifice himself, but then you realize no, because they're the same person. There's this beautiful duality yet singularity of DID, of there's multiple versions of you, but it's still all you.
Right.
You know? And having that moment of seeing the birth of Steven and where that trauma exactly came from. And the point of Steven, according to Mark, is you are supposed to have the life that I can't have.
Yeah.
You are supposed to have the perfect life. I'm the one who's supposed to weather all this.
Yeah.
So that you can have a mother who loves you. Mm-hmm. You can have the good life. The good life. The one that hasn't had to murder people. The one who hasn't had to have all the shitty things happen. You get to have the life that I genuinely wanted.
Yeah, and it really, and at the end when they finally save the day, if you will,
yep.
They end up stopping Arthur Harrow, mm-hmm. and they end up giving up their Khonshu's avatar. Or so we thought.
Did they though?
And they did.
But there's another friend who has a say in this.
Yeah,
specifically Jake Lockley has a say in this.
Who's Jake Lockley?
The third personality.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
I saw the episode, so I know exactly what he's talking about. And that was the cliffhanger. That was the cliffhanger. And it really sets up something that I think we're probably going to see it. We just don't know in what shape or form.
Or even when.
Yeah. But if you think this show was violent, you don't even know. Yeah, nobody knows. Because Jake Lockley, I did some research on him. I was telling Zach this. Jake Lockley is even more violent.
Well, and here's the thing. So I feel like Mark Spector can be, or Moon Knight as a whole can be split up into like 3 categories. You have Steven, who is the idealist, the
Professor Knight,
the Professor Knight, the one that has the ideas and is the naive one, the one that is supposed to be the good. Then you have the middle, who is Mark Spector, and who I kind of was trying to kind of disagree with a little bit at the beginning when you said that he was the harder one, the evil one. Nah, yes, he is willing to do what he needs to do, but he still has a moral compass. Mm-hmm. And you definitely see that in episode either 3 or 4.
I think it was 4.
Where he's chasing down some kids in Cairo.
Oh, it was 3.
It was 3. It was chasing down some people in Cairo, and one of them is a kid. Mm-hmm. And he does not want to hurt the kid. He absolutely tries and actively avoids to not hurt the kid. Which was nice and great. But then you have Jake, who is sadistic, and not only is very rageful and vengeful,
murderous,
he is stone cold killer.
Yeah,
which is where I tried to say,
I get you now.
Say Mark kills out of necessity. Jake kills because he can.
Yeah. And you see it. You see him with Khonshu
with a very little bit, and Khonshu was right in the sense of, because throughout the entire series, they're playing Mark's thinking that the specific avatar that Khonshu wants is actually Layla, and Khonshu allows Mark to think that. He kind of plays with Mark a little bit on that. Mm-hmm. But that's not who and Conchi reveals at the end that's not who he's after.
He wanted Jake.
He wants Jake. Again, Marvel, why the fuck do you kill all your best villains? I swear to God. Come on!
You had to kill him.
Come on!
You didn't have to, but yeah.
You didn't have to, but you did. Which, I get it. It was your way to introduce just how bad Jake actually is. But come on!
Mm-hmm.
You killed Loki.
Sort of,
but then we're able to bring him back. You killed Thanos. And now you killed Arthur Harrow. Come on, guys.
You killed Thanos twice.
Killed Thanos twice. However, he deserved it.
He
earned it and deserved it.
You sent Norman Osborn back to his home universe, and he died.
Yeah.
And you seemingly, possibly, probably not, killed off Wanda. We don't know.
Oh, Wanda's not dead.
I know.
Wanda's not dead.
Okay, so...
She ain't dead. You're trying to make us think it because, oh no, why Marvel must kill all of our best villains. No, you ain't playing that card.
They didn't kill off Adrian Toomes, but he pretty much...
They killed off Killmonger.
They did, didn't they? Mm-hmm. Such a shame.
However, I've been hearing that Killmonger might make an appearance in
Black Panther 2.
Black Panther 2.
But you also think Namor may be in it too, I think, right?
I'm hoping.
He's due.
He's way past due.
If Aquaman can be made, Namor can be made.
100%.
And Namor's such a better character than Aquaman. Mm-hmm. Okay, so there's our thoughts on Moon Knight.
Yeah.
If you want to hear more about Disney Plus television shows, please let us know.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
We can actually form the little show podcast.
Yeah, we can. It mostly just be me and Zach until for a while.
Yeah, so we do want to go ahead and say the reason why that this show is on our movie podcast is because we feel the MCU is now superseded, like movies, shows, whatnot. It all goes to the same point, and it based in movies. So that's why this is with it. Probably almost all MCU reviews that we probably will do, whether they're a show or a movie, are probably going to still stay in our little movie podcast.
Obi-Wan Kenobi may stay in there too.
Obi-Wan Kenobi too, because it's a limited series and not a... Because limited series to me are just like giant movies.
Yeah, and it's also still in the Star Wars.
And it's still in the Star Wars timeline mythos.
Right.
So that one will probably also be in our... And again, we're going to do it when it's completed. We're not going to do a episode by episode, which would be fun, but... We
don't have time.
We don't have time for that. So we'll do its grand recap when the show ends.
Now, if you do want to see more of... series discussions, reviews, feel free to let us know.
Our email's down below.
Mm-hmm. All of our socials are down there too. If you don't like us, well, that's fine. But me and Zach like each other.
We have fun.
We do have fun.
It's going to be great.
We're both going to have the same days off.
Yep. So we'll be able to get actually more consistently every single week. Something will probably be coming out.
Well, we've been pretty consistent.
We've been pretty consistent, but
we've also been falling asleep.
Yeah.
Zach.
Fine. I'm sorry. I'm getting old.
I'm older than you.
20. I'm going to be 26 in June.
I'm going to be 29 in December.
Boo-hoo.
I'm going to be 30 soon.
Well, actually, take that back.
Oh.
A little bit also, too. So we love bringing you our movie reviews and our thoughts and opinions and whatnot, but we're also, as always, looking for new things and new shows because we are excellent little podcasts, as always.
If there's something that you want us to discuss, feel free.
Something you want us to discuss, feel free, but we also are interested in branching out in new things. So, new shows, new ideas. So go ahead and start bringing them to our attention of some things that you're like, hey, you guys... maybe might do really well at this, or maybe would do really well at that. Like, go ahead and bring those suggestions and comments below and email us and let us know, because we really do want to hear your thoughts, and we really do want to know where we can grow.
Get better, too.
And get better, too, yeah. So we're really excited. We can't wait to continue moving forward, and we are excited to continue having you guys along for the ride. But as Mitch is... probably going to go ahead and say, you may go ahead and close this out, sir.
Till that time.
I'm Zach.
I'm Mitch.
Every time we wake up, every time.